Welcome back to Fort Lee High School in Fort Lee, New Jersey. We're just across the George Washington Bridge in the Hudson River from New York City, and it's time to talk about this school and what we are doing here this morning. It's been a highly regarded school for a long time.
Great school.
In the top 100 for years. Dipped a little bit in some of their test scores a few years ago. Brought in some new administrators, some new people, got a new message. You'll meet some of them right here. Fort Lee, New Jersey, the first town you hit when you cross over the Hudson River from New York City on the George Washington Bridge, and home to a big brick building on a hill that is Fort Lee High School.
It's always been a school that's had its successes. We've maintained status in the state of New Jersey in the top 100.
A strong tradition, but when Principal Priscilla Church arrived in 2010, she found a school that had slipped from its standards. The state labeling it a school in need of improvement.
We had a significant percentage of the population that were struggling to meet the benchmark expectations that are required. So it showed us that we had two levels of Fort Lee High School.
But we needed to do a better job on our end to make sure that every kid was receiving what he or she needs.
With the support of Stephen Engravalle, then the Assistant Superintendent of Fort Lee Public Schools, and as of last fall, the Interim Superintendent, Principal Church told her teachers they had to do better. Some feathers were ruffled, some non-tenured teachers and supervisors were laid off. But in just a single school year, the students' numbers did a 180.
I am very proud to say, and this is not my achievement, it's their achievement, that in 1 year they flipped the school so that we were no longer in a needs improvement status.
Engravalle, a 33-year-old native of New Jersey, says administrators and teachers performed that turnaround with a new philosophy.
Stop blaming the kids. I don't want to hear that they go home and they don't have enough food to eat or they don't have a place to do their homework. I can't change that. But what I can do is change the services I provide and how hard I work for kids, and that's what's going to make the difference in my mind.
He has created an environment where, you know, students and teachers interact on much a higher level, almost like a collegiate academic environment.
I definitely see a change. Teachers are a lot more hands-on and pay attention to students as individuals.
I feel like a lot of the teachers are more comfortable in their skin.
Engravalle's hard-charging style of reform has made him a favorite of New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and caused some friction with the teachers' unions.
I don't bash teachers. I bash the bad ones. Okay, and that's what my job is as a leader. My job is to lift up the great people, and it's to weed out the bad ones who are not going to help our kids, because our kids can't afford 1 year with one bad teacher, because they will never recover academically.
Engravalle does not mince words when talking about the ongoing anti-Christie media blitz paid for by the New Jersey Education Association.
Now, instead of spending $30 million or whatever the money you wasted to put these stupid billboards up and down the turnpike, okay, why wouldn't you give that back to the first-year teacher who you're pulling $2,000 out of their salary and you're paying for it on their back, who can barely pay their rent?
Shaped by his own experience as a teacher, Engravalle considers himself a warrior against the status quo.
If you're supporting great things, then I stand beside you. But if you're enabling bad things to happen to kids, you're darn right I stand across the ring from you.
Engravalle is the interim superintendent. He's just been in that job since last fall, but making a difference, he's the first to point out, because of the teachers, because of Principal Church, who we'll meet later in the show. Yeah. They did some simple things when they came in. They repainted the school, get people feeling better about the place they go to learn every day, and just instituted a new mentality, and he'll be with us next hour to talk more about it.
I liked what one of the students said that you interviewed, that the teachers felt more comfortable in their skin. I mean, we're learning more and more. You know, we've been doing this now, Mika, for 2, 3 years, 4 years going around, and we're seeing an evolution in all the research. You look at the Gates Foundation, the billions that they've plowed in there. It all comes down to great teachers. How do you make the teachers' environment better so they can work with the students, so they can work with the parents, so they can work with the principals?
And not to sugarcoat it, and obviously having a beautiful environment to work in and fresh-coated paint helps, but also it looks like some very, very tough calls had to be made, and that's what we're going to be debating today.
That's what
not a pretty process.
That's what it's about in the end, isn't it, Reverend? Empowering your teachers, getting them comfortable in their own skin, and demanding excellence.
Demanding excellence and expecting it. I think that when you hear that student say the teacher comfortable in their own skin, it gives the same confidence in the student. I mean, students can read if you are not comfortable and
reflect.
If you are afraid or if you're unsure and insecure, and it projects into them. And I think that what was striking about what the interim superintendent said, he wouldn't take excuses. I don't want to hear they didn't eat enough at home.
Yeah,
I don't want to blame it on the parent. You do your job and let us try to hold it. And I think parents should be accountable, but there shouldn't be the excuse.
We heard that at the last school we went to, the Bronx Charter School for Excellence.
Yes.
The principal there said, you know what I call those problems at home? Life. That's life. People have problems in their lives. We have to do what we can inside the school.
And again, Willie, just explain, that's not a teacher or a principal being insensitive. That's a teacher or a principal saying, you know what? I don't want to hear you making an excuse because of their tough situation.
That's right.
You have to rise above and lift them up, right?
It's very simple. No excuses. If you make no excuses for yourself, you'll do a better job in the school. You accept what they have at home. There's nothing you can do to control that and move forward. And we're going to have a lot of people to talk about this coming up. We're going to bring in former DNC Chairman Howard Dean.
Very good.
Also Governor of Vermont, who dealt a lot with education. Michelle Rhee will be with us. Also, John Meacham. A lot still ahead when we come back to Fort Lee High School in New Jersey.
All right.